You're the only county council member who did not sign the letter that went out last week on liquor control. Tell me why.
Well, as I indicated at the time when we passed the resolution, I felt that it was a first step, but a sorely insufficient first step, and I felt more fundamental reform was appropriate. So when the state legislators and the controller came forward with a broader proposal, that was consistent with my philosophy from day one. We don't do this business well. It's a disservice to our community. I have lost confidence that we'll ever do this business well, and I think it reflects badly on our county to be trying to do a business. So from my perspective, consumers aren't well served and our county is not well served, and that these broader measures actually allow voters to decide, and I think that that's appropriate.
So you're in support of complete privatization? Then?
Now, actually, it's not complete privatization, and I think that that's part of what people need to understand. We would allow, under the proposal that the legislature is reviewing, for our county stores to continue. So what we are arguing for is competition. We're allowing the private sector in to compete with our county stores, and if our county stores do well, they'll continue to do well. But if the county stores don't do well and business gravitates to the private sector, then from my perspective, that's appropriate and proper.
You represent Bethesda, that's the large restaurant district. How is liquor control holding Bethesda back from some of the other entertainment districts throughout the region?
Well, when I first came on to the county council, this was among the first issues I had to deal with, in a meeting between our restaurants and our Department of Liquor Control. And what can you do to make this better? Because every restaurant would complain to me saying, this is killing us. It costs us more, we don't get what we order, and our customers are not happy. That fundamentally hasn't changed in my judgment, will not change with the measure that has been approved by our council. So I feel like it is holding us back. If you look at where the best restaurants are in the region and you look at our per capita portion of that, it is not good. We have a very small portion of the best restaurants in our region, and there's a reason for it.
Whose bill are you supporting, Frick's or the comptroller's?
I'm supporting Bill Frick's bill because Bill Frick's bill has the referendum as part of it. I feel like these are legitimate public policy debates. I don't quarrel with my colleagues for having a different point of view with respect to this. Where I would say is let the voters decide this as to whether or not this continues to be a core government responsibility or something in which the private sector should be allowed to compete and therefore bring out the best in everyone.
Your colleagues say they're worried about the revenue that may be lost.
I'm worried about the revenue that may be lost, but I also believe that we are bleeding revenue today. Revenue is fleeing our county, going to the District of Columbia, going to Northern Virginia. One of the big stores in Northern Virginia says to me, Councilmember Berliner, I love Montgomery County. A third of my customers come from Montgomery County. So we're bleeding revenue now. And if we reinvigorated our economy and recaptured the dollars that are leaving here, the comptroller, for one, believes that we would be revenue neutral.
So if competition is being set to the restaurant owners and other alcohol sales people, how is that going to jumpstart Montgomery County's economy if we're losing a lot of the sales that way through the Department of Liquor Control?
So in my judgment, if the private sector is allowed to compete, then our restaurants and our private sector will have an opportunity to provide for themselves or through the county store, and that will reinvigorate our economy. We will have more restaurants moving here, more profitability here, and we will not have dollars leaving our county. So that will help our county in terms of its tax base.
Have you spoken to any potential restaurant owners or those who might consider moving here?
Oh, we've had lots of conversations with respect to restaurants, and to a person, restaurants will tell you this is not a good system and inhibits them from coming here.
Do you have an example of someone who went to D.C. instead of coming to Montgomery County as a restaurant?
I don't. I look at the restaurant range, which is in Friendship Heights, right across the border from Montgomery County, and I say to myself, I don't think it's an accident that they settled in Friendship, in that portion of the D.C. portion of Friendship Heights as opposed to in the Montgomery County. And it's one of the finest restaurants in our area. So you can ask yourself, why would they have gone there as opposed to someplace else? So there are a number of restaurateurs that will say to you, this is really not a good system. And so I think the facts speak for themselves. And now, I represent Bethesda. We have lots of wonderful restaurants. I'm not going to smear our restaurants in Bethesda, but I will tell you the Bethesda Chamber of Commerce cares deeply about these issues for this very reason. They see it as critical to our economy and having a great quality of life.